Welcome again, everyone, to the Flatiron School monthly final project showcase. My name is Michelle Pathé. I'm a community manager at Flatiron School, and I'm super excited to have y'all here and to be together tonight. Like I mentioned before, we've got some really awesome projects that we're going to check out from graduates of our software engineering and data science programs. So, like I said, feel free to jump into the chat. Any questions, any comments? If you just want to drop some emojis in there during a presentation, that works for me. And that chat box will be our main form of communication for the evening. So don't be shy. We'll all be good friends by the end of this hour. You can also see that we're recording this. You can expect to get a copy of the recording via email sometime early next week. Takes a couple of days for us to process the video, make it all nice and clean for you, and then it'll be in your inbox. So with that, we're gonna kick it over to our presenters. And first up from our software engineering program is Travis Williams with his project, Concert. Travis, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. And thanks everyone for joining. I'm excited to show you my project, Concert. As Michelle mentioned, my name is Travis Williams. I'm a software engineer and I am based in Denver. I have a pre-recorded presentation here. Just did that so that when I do it live, I end up going too far in the weeds and taking too much time off the clock. Let me pull this up. Looks like it's still loading. Awesome. I'll go ahead and hit play. Concert is a semi-social web application. Has a slight social component, but mainly intended for personal use of logging, tracking, rating, remembering all the concerts and music festivals that one might attend. Now, this project came out of a real life problem I have been doing 40 plus concerts a year.
I think the way we choose books has
favorite,
to do with the kind of people we are.
it's hard to keep track.
See a lot of
My
goal with this project is to explore.
Hey, Travis, could you pause real quick?
A new way to think about stories and how people relate to them.
Yeah.
I think we got someone else. Whoops, we're gonna mute that. Yeah. Apologies, folks.
Yeah, all good.
It happens. Travis, do you want to go ahead and start from the beginning?
Yeah, no worries. To the 5-second mark is where it really starts. Okay, sweet. Take two. Here we go. Concert is a semi-social web application. Has a slight social component, but mainly intended for personal use of logging, tracking, rating, remembering all the concerts and music festivals that one might attend. Now, this project came out of a real life problem I have. I go to about 40 plus concerts a year, and people always ask, what's your favorite? Who have you seen lately? And it's hard to keep track of them. I have a list in my notes app, not good enough. So I built a concert here. So when you come to Concert, it is going to have you start on this, login page. If you have an account, you can log in. If you don't, you can sign up for one. There's a little bit of validation where, if I put the wrong login info, we're going to get an alert here. But if I put in the right login info, it's going to go ahead and bring me to the home page. Now, the home page is a timeline view. So this will include all of the concerts and festivals that I have uploaded to my own profile. So this is just a personal view, and it's going to default to a chronological order, right? Oldest at the top, newest down at the bottom. I do have the ability to hit show favorites, and it will swap the sorting function so that it will bring things that I've rated the highest up to the top and then put the lowest rated stuff down at the bottom, and a real quick and easy toggle between those two. And then obviously you can see, the name, the date, where was it, and what you rated that event. On my left-hand nav here, I can click on my concerts, which is going to be a comprehensive list of all the concerts. And in this application, concerts and music festivals are separate objects. So they have a couple different views. use. They do get combined in that timeline though. But on my concert list here, I can, easily search for things. I can filter just by year, or I can filter just by venue, or a combination of the two, and see, okay, in 2023, I saw one concert at Mission Ballroom, and it was the band Tennis. Now you'll notice on these cards, there's a little bit more information here than there was on the timeline. So we can have the ability to add the opener. You can add a link to a set list, which is on a separate website. And then as I hover over each of these things, you'll notice there's the ability to delete or update that information. So update form, super simple, very similar to the add form, which I'll show you. But I have the option to come in here and change anything if I inputted it wrong or I wanted to add additional comments. Now the add concert form here is your standard form. It's going to ask for a few pieces of information here. The actual only required item is the date, because you can go in and add anything else afterwards. And the date has a little bit of validation. It requires a certain type, certain format. So if I try to upload it with our standard American date format here, it's going to say, hey, you got to do it in year, month, day. And that was because the year, month, day format allowed me to more easily sort everything on the timeline page. But as you'll see, it's pulling in the dates here in a cleaner, more format that we're more accustomed to. I can then pop down to my festivals, very similar page. You can search here as well. You can also add a festival, nearly identical form to add a festival, just going to have 2 date fields for start and end. The same date validation is going to apply there. But the big difference with a festival is I have the ability to zoom in a little bit, see a larger view of the details, and I can see a list of all of the artists I actually saw at that festival. So I can hit add artists, it'll bring me to another similar form, and this will tie a specific artist card to that particular festival only. Venues is a very simple page, just all the venues that are in the system uploaded from any user, sorted first by city, then by name. And there's a form down at the bottom to add one if you don't see the one you want to use. Once it's added, I can then apply that to a filter. I can apply that venue to any of the concerts I attend, etc. Concert Buddies here is the social component. So I have the ability to go in and view other users' timelines. It's just going to be the standard timeline view, oldest to newest. But this way I can kind of keep up with what my friends are looking at and have the ability to just check in with them. Now, there are plenty of other apps where you can engage more strongly with people. I didn't need to build a whole nother messaging, Instagram, TikTok, etc. app. Just wanted a slight social component. The next step for this is to make it a little more social, right? Create more of a traditional followers following experience. Right now, it allows me to select from all of the users in the system. I would like to make it so that I can follow certain users, and then I'd be able to select from those folks that I'm following. Account page, super simple, has a count of the items I've added, some general account information, which you can update with this button, and then you can log out. So that's Concert. The backend was created with Python, Flask, and SQL Alchemy. The front end was created with React, a lot of custom CSS, but a little bit of the semantic CSS library as well to help with some of those buttons and those cards. So thanks, I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to ask any questions.
Awesome. Well done,
That's it.
Travis.
Thanks, guys.
Well done.
Yeah, I don't know if we're doing questions in between or at the end, the total end, but
We I see one in the chat, so we'll take it real quick. So JP says, what was your coding experience prior to taking the course? Based on your experience, what's the one thing you might recommend to someone thinking about beginning the Flatiron
great
School?
question. Very good question. I had 0 coding experience. I've been around coders. I've worked at tech companies my whole career, but was always on the sales or sales adjacent teams, but had never actually written a line of code in my life. So, you know, doing the pre-work was really helpful. That was one of the reasons I chose to do Flatiron, was because they had us, you know, all start at a kind of a similar level by doing the pre-work. But as far as a recommendation, I would, you know, maybe mess around with like some Udemy courses. Like the pre-work's a great way to get a taste, but Udemy as well allows you to just kind of dip your feet in before you make the full investment, you know, and actually, you know, go through the course and pay for the education. And then just going through it, you know, I would just recommend that you make sure that you are asking for help when you need it. You know, I, at least at the beginning, was waiting like too long to ask for help. And then I was getting, you know, really in my head and frazzled. And by the time I'd ask for help, I wasn't really in a mindset to receive help very well. So, you know, starting Flatiron School is time to put your ego aside and know that there are a million resources that they provide, and they're there to be used and helpful to the students. So yeah, that's a little about my experience.
Awesome. That's good advice. Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you have any info for folks to get in touch and maybe ask some follow-up questions, go ahead and drop that in the chat for us. But for now, we're gonna move on to our next project. We got another software engineering grad coming your way. Kate Bennert will be presenting Event Handler. Kate, it's all you.
Thanks, Michelle. Hi, everyone. I'm Kate Bennert. Let me share my screen. All right. I am Kate Bennert. I am a software engineer, and I graduated from the Flatiron Flex program. My background, however, is in food styling for television and digital media. So I'm here to present my capstone, which is Event Handler. So Event Handler was conceived from thinking about a lot of my friends in the creative industry all have like the same thing in common with their job, which is communication with clients and collaboration on creative projects is very essential. I'm sure if anyone here has ever worked on a creative project with a group, the most important part is making sure everyone is on the same creative page. And honestly, just a place to go where you can communicate about a project without sending so many emails or so many Slack messages. So Event Handler is a platform that was created with professional event planners in mind and allowing them to collaborate with their clients and keep all the communication in the same place. So we'll start with, here's Event Handler, and we'll start with a client profile. So Event Handler was designed to have two different types of users, a client and a planner. So let's say you are a client looking to plan a party and connect with a professional event planner. So we've already created a new account for a client. We'll call her Zara. And she's going to be collaborating with our event planner named Ryan. And they're going to plan a birthday party together. So when Zara creates her account and logs in, she'll see the home splash page and then a little notification above the profile section where she can go in and edit her profile. So we'll just add a few details to get her set up. The location and phone number are mandatory, but everything else, social profiles are optional. And then she can upload a picture of herself to go along with her profile. So we'll save the changes. And there's Zara's new profile for now with her profile picture in there. And as a client, Zara has the ability to browse venues for her birthday party that she's going to plan with Ryan. And later on, she'll be able to view a list of the events that she's working on. So let's say Zara really likes this this rustic barn venue for her birthday party, and she's communicated with Ryan that this is the place that they're gonna book for the event. So I'm going to log in quickly here as Ryan, our event planner. And we'll see just quickly that Ryan has access as a planner to more of the site. So Ryan and Zara have created or have decided on this rustic barn. And Ryan can then, as the planner, go ahead and create the event. So we'll quickly fill in the details for the event. The important part is that the event is connected to Zara, the client, by Zara's email. And we'll choose a date here for the party. We'll say it's tomorrow at 10:24. Why not? And it's a birthday party. And we're going to have 50 people there. So once Ryan saves the event, we're redirected to the event's main page. And we'll see all the details for this event, as well as be able to open the messages. And this is really the prime function of Event Handler, is that you can view the details for your event and communicate with the person that you're collaborating with on the event. So Ryan can message Zara. We'll just say hi, and it'll be saved in the message box. So I'm going to go back to Zara. We'll log back into her account. And now we can see that the event that Ryan created for the two of them to work on together appears in the event list for Zara. So Zara can then go look at the details that were created and open the messages. And there's Ryan's message. So let's say Zara doesn't want to have a party at 10:24. So she can ask Ryan then to move up the time of the event. So let's make it 5. And then quickly we'll log back into Ryan. And Ryan can then go to his events, click on the event that they're working on, open the messages and see that Zara has asked to make it 5 p.m. And the reason that I wanted a planner to be able to make changes, but not a client, is so that the process is streamlined and not everybody's making a bunch of changes to the same event. And since Ryan is running the show as the planner, he can then go in and change the event time per Zara's request to 5 p.m. and we'll save the changes. And you can see that the new event time is 5 p.m. So in addition to the list of the events that Ryan is working on, he can also see the same event list and a list of the clients that he's working with, as well as the events that are related to that client. And similarly, venues, a list of venues that he's working with. So that is Event Handler. I'm going to log out. And Event Handler, I created using Ruby on Rails with a React front end. And I created custom CSS styling for all of my styling. And then my biggest challenge was actually figuring out how to integrate Cloudinary, which is a web storage service, with the built-in Rails active storage. But it was important to me that a user would be able to upload photos and attach it to their profile. So let's stay in touch. I'll drop my LinkedIn in the chat and let me know if you have any questions.
Awesome. Well done, Kate. Thanks for that. I have a question. You know, like building a solo project from scratch is kind of this big undertaking, right? I'm wondering how much did your end product change from like what you initially planned to build? Was there like something specific that came up while you were building where you were like, ooh, I think I need to pivot?
Yes, I'd say when I got started, I had 1,000,001 ideas, and I had not a lot of time. So I think as I got going, there was a lot of editing that had to happen. Like, oh, wow, this is actually a real challenge for me. Like, you know, nothing came easily because we're all, you know, still learning at this point. It's part of what makes making a project like this really fun. But my stretch goals, and even just some of my original goals, were to integrate with other APIs and include some Google storage so that there could be documents that were also saved on the event page so that the planner and the client could look at the documents together. But as I was going on, I really had to edit for the sake of time, to pare down and really get at the heart of like what is the most important part of event handler, and that was the communication. So, but the stretch goals are still out there, and now that I've graduated, I have time to work on this and build it up to some of those million ideas I had in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. Excited to see where it ends up in the next version. Keep us updated.
Sure will.
One more quick one from JP, who's just a little curious about the Flex program. You said you're in the Flex program.
Yes.
Can you just talk briefly how much time you were kind of able to spend on your coursework during the week? Like, what did your kind of day-to-day look like?
That's a great question. I did choose the Flex program because I was, when I started it, still working a full-time job, which transitioned as time went on. I was able to devote a little bit more time daily, but I did for the most part have a full-time job and devote nighttime and you know, some random morning hours to the first couple of phases. And it was still, the Flex program is great for that reason. But like Travis said, making sure that you reach out to your instructors and ask for help early on and like make those relationships. I think that's one of the harder parts of the Flex program, is that you're not like forging relationships in person. So really just putting yourself out there and getting connected with other students and instructors was helpful.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kate. Give it up for Kate, everyone. Well done. Well done. And congrats again on completing your program.
Thanks.
Awesome. Next, we've got another software engineer with us presenting Yu-Gi-Oh card mapping is Shams Khondkar. Shams, floor is yours.
All right. Hello?
Yeah, good.
Okay. So, hi, my name is Shams. I graduated from the May 1st cohort at Flatiron, and I'm just presenting my final project. So, one of the games that I've always played on and off is this Yu-Gi-Oh trading card game, or TCG. And if you're not familiar with how TCGs work, you basically collect cards, and then you use these cards to build a deck, and then you play games against other people. One of the biggest issues that a lot of us run into, though, is that your card inventory grows really large and becomes very hard to manage. You also need to keep track of what cards belong to which decks, and then you can see which cards you have extras of, which cards you need to get, so on and so forth. So with my final project, I wanted to create an app that can solve this issue for me. Essentially, it boils down to this like an inventory management system for someone's card collection. Oh yeah, CSS is terrible. So this is already logged in, but if you want to manage one's inventory, so this inventory created only has 19 items in it. For the most part, every card has a unique card ID. So the way to add a card is by the card ID. You probably don't know your card ID off the top of your head, so you probably know your card's name. So if you start typing in, let's say, a card name, it'll give you recommendation. We'll look to see what are some valid cards. So let's just pick this one. And then when you do that, it'll actually then load up the different potential card IDs. And then you just select quantity, and then you can submit it. if it's acceptable, like if it's a valid card ID, then it'll be added to your inventory. If not, it won't be, it'll be rejected. You can edit the quantities with this edit button. It's actually like this because I was lazy. And then you can also delete cards, just with the trash can. This inventory only has like 19 cards. Reality, people will have like hundreds, maybe thousands of cards. So I needed a way to like filter this and search. So you can filter and search by like any combination of these 4 categories: name, rarity, sets, and types. And at least in my experience, that's the most frequently used ones. I guess just for demonstration's sake, we'll see that. If I remove this filter, I think you'll see some more. Yeah, there's like 2 different ones, and so on. So this is how you can manage all the cards you have. The next thing that I wanted to do, which at least for me was more important, was to manage your deck inventory. Let me give it a second. Oh, that took a while, sorry. So this is the same thing where you can search, you can search which decks you have. So I play different formats, so this is a way that I just keep track of it. You can create a deck, so I don't know, let's just create something, just random. And it just creates one. And if you click on it, you can edit it. This right now is just like a blank template since there's nothing in it. And I don't want to fill this out. So why is this taking so long? Strange. Okay. Oh, it's taking a really long time. Okay. Sorry about that. So, okay, so this is a deck that I've pretty much made. You can add, delete, and edit cards the same way you did with your inventory. This needed a couple layers of validations. You need to see if the card you're adding is allowed. Then you need to see whether or not you're violating the maximum cards allowed in a deck and so on. So I guess I'm just like sure. And you can just add it here. It should show up in a second. Okay, and it showed up here. Let's see. The next thing that I wanted more so was that you can reconcile the decks that you have versus your inventory, because that's where like my main issue came from. So if I here just select these and hit this reconcile button, what it does for me is that all the decks that I've selected, they give me a breakdown of where they're used, how many I owned, required, needed, so on and so forth. And you can search here the same way. So these were like the main features that I wanted it. There's some things that you can do to support this. You have a card database, which is all the cards that are currently released in the TCG, and you can search through it the same way you did for your inventory. I'm not just for demonstration's sake, so you can see this. These are all the sets that are released. And if you click on a specific card, right, it'll also tell you all the different card codes. It's pretty much it. Like there's a lot of them. You can click decks that people have created, and then you can view any of them and edit any decks that aren't your own. If you do, you'll get like an error. Well, actually, you're not even allowed to. You won't even be. But you can also like look at different decks that people have created. Okay. So this version, sorry, the front end was all done with React. Some of the components were made using the Material UI library. The backend was with Python, Flask, SQL Alchemy to interact with the databases. This one is using a SQLite database. It's being hosted on my computer. There is a version that's being hosted on Render that's using Postgres, but that one's a lot slower because I didn't want to pay for Render. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Shams. Really a lot of detail in there. Super cool to see. If anyone has questions for Shams, go ahead, drop it in the chat. I think for the sake of time, we're gonna move on to the next presenter. And Shams, if any questions come up, feel free to just respond to them directly in the chat box. All right, let's give it up, everyone. Next, we have Shanley Caswell, another software engineering grad with TapeMate.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Shanley. I'm a software engineer. I live in Brooklyn, New York. I graduated in early September from Flatiron's full-time online course. And today I have TapeMate for you guys. TapeMate was born as my capstone project out of something that I've been dreaming about for a while. I've been an actor for over 15 years. And during the pandemic, everyone went from going from in-person auditions to self-tapes at home. Usually you're reading with a spouse or a neighbor, and it was just not very fun. And so I was trying to figure out a way that actors can connect with other actors to help them read for tapes. And that's how TapeMate came into existence. So I will just show you guys a little about TapeMate. You log in and you can see all of your available readers. You can also say on your account page, which I'll show you, say whether or not you even want to be a reader. You can be an actor on here and just only use it for finding readers, or you can be a reader as well if you want to offer that up. And here are all of our available readers, all these pretty people. Let's say I want to schedule a reading for today, Thursday. I'm looking for a virtual session, but also somebody who can coach because I need help with my audition. I'm going to schedule it here. 6 p.m. and let's go to 7 p.m. I'm going to do some coaching. I'm going to say, I need some major help with a commercial audition. And I'm doing it with Kevin because I know he's funny. And you can see them all on your sessions tab here. So here I have a reading session for Spencer. It means it's already been confirmed. That's why it's in blue. And this means I'm her reader. She's the actor here. She's given me a Zoom link to log into for this. I have a request from somebody else for me to be a reader. I can accept it here. So this is what the request looks like from the other side. I'm going to accept it. It changes colors. Now it's a confirmed session. And I have an acting session with Kelsey here. It's in person. So I have my address. This means that she's reading for me in person. And we live nearby, so we can do it in person instead of it being virtual taping. But let's say that you are just an actor and you don't want to be a reader on the site. That's totally fine. You just say no here, or you can edit your availability. You can edit what kind of session types you're available for. You can update your profile picture with a different headshot if you want. Update your password, location, username, all of that. Pretty simple, but it's something that's really necessary for actors. There is really no platform that actors can meet each other on. And so it's a very independent lifestyle. And we're, especially in the pandemic, it sort of got worse. We have no community and no way to meet each other now. And so this was just a way to solve that problem. And that's TapeMate, short and sweet. Oh, it's built with React on the front end, Bootstrap for styling. Back end was Python, Flask, and SQL Alchemy. And that's it.
Beautiful. Thanks so much, Shanley. What was like the most surprising or unexpected thing to just kind of come up when you were building this that maybe you weren't anticipating?
I decided to change it entirely halfway through. Originally, I had it as being, as an actor, you'd almost like a Craigslist, you'd post that you'd want to find a reader, and then a reader would pick that up. But then it gave the actor no choice into who's their reader, and ultimately they're the one auditioning. So it didn't really make much sense if they don't have the choice for their reader. So I redid this with like 3 days to spare before it was due, and that was a lot. But us software engineering students, I'm sure everyone here can agree, we are very used to the late night sessions with lots of caffeine, and I somehow pulled it off. The other difficult thing was that for TapeMate, you have users that are readers and actors, and so I had to figure out a way to have a self-referential table where you're just referencing users in different ways with different IDs, and that was just a little confusing to wrap my head around at first, but once I figured it out, that was smooth sailing after that.
That's super cool. That I like to ask folks that question a lot to just kind of see, like, usually it's a technical obstacle that comes up where, like, I thought I would use this, but given the time constraints, I couldn't do it. But that's really interesting that it sounds like you had more of like a user focused approach and saying like, oh, I'm building this and I'm chugging along for a couple of weeks now, but actually this isn't the best for the user.
Mm-hmm. I was talking to some of my friends, like the people you see here are all my friends that I got permission from to have their headshots here. But I was asking them what would they use? What would be something that would be helpful to them? And I was explaining it as the Craigslist version, and they were just like, it doesn't make as much sense. And so I took a weekend and I didn't look at it at all. And then I went back on Monday and just scrapped about half of it and then redid it.
And here we are.
Awesome.
Well, awesome project. Great presentation. Loved how clean everything was. Love how user focused it all was. Congrats for making it to this point. And we're excited to see what's next.
Thank you.
All right, give it up for Shanley, everybody. Next up, we've got our data science presenter in the house. Morgan Goode will be talking a little bit about training an NLP on habitual B. Morgan, take it away.
Thank you. I am your data scientist for today. I just finished the full-time online boot camp at the end of August. And yes, I did a language processing model, and let's get into it. As you can probably guess from my bio, I have a passion for languages, but you might not know that over 90% of the world's languages used by more than 1 billion people currently have little to no support in terms of language technology, which is what inspired me to train a natural language processing model on one of the most well-known features of African American vernacular English, the habitual B. A now famous 1998 experiment by Dr. Janice Jackson brought the habitual B to the larger public discourse. In comparing two groups of kindergarten-aged children, a statistically significant difference was revealed only when it came to question 1, who be eating cookies, with the test group of native AAVE speakers answering correctly 58% of the time, compared to 5% for the control group of standard American English speakers. 25 years later, AAVE is still one of the many languages not served by language models. So the bottom line is that my final model can predict habitual B with 90% accuracy. And more on that in a moment. We'll just quickly run through the agenda. We will begin with objectives and methodology, followed by data overview, the final model, and conclude with next steps. My goal in designing a probabilistic algorithm for identifying habitual B that does not encode bias required a careful consideration of methodology. It is also important to note that despite how it may feel when interacting with a language model like ChatGPT, a language model is merely assembling linguistic patterns observed from training data according to such an algorithm. This is why the authors of this paper that was very inspired by, quoted here, refer to LMs as stochastic parrots while drawing our attention to the dangers in training language models on large data sets scraped from the internet. This quote refers to the standard practice of screening out slurs and obscenities, the issue being that some of these are commonly used between community members, so our voices are effectively screened out. Their paper also references an investigation by the University of Washington that found that language models trained with data from the popular Common Crawl data set can generate extremely toxic content even when not prompted to do so. Their investigation of GPT-2's training data uncovered 272,000 documents from unreliable news sites and 63,000 from banned subreddits. In fact, over 1/5 of ChatGPT 3.5's training data came from Reddit, a site known for skewing young, white, American, and male. So for me, this meant web crawling was in or web crawling is out and hand curation is in. I also chose to keep stop words and obscenities. Each sentence has been carefully selected and in some cases edited and also tagged by me. Sources include my own writing, text from the group chat, quotes from public intellectuals, news articles, and social media posts. In seeking balance, almost all of the present B text comes from Black AAVE speakers, and the habitual B text comes only from Black AAVE speakers. I made this choice in order to mitigate any bias that could result from restricting present B contributions to non-Black, non-AAVE speakers. I have been on my own thus far, and I would like to bring in more collaborators to fully realize the model's capabilities. And if I've learned anything from compiling this corpus, it's that many people write to express grievances. So a detailed sentiment analysis is warranted. I also need to take a closer look at the current speaker demographics. Older folks are likely underrepresented in this data set, for example. Before I go to the next slide, just want to give a content warning here. There will be some curse words. In conducting my exploratory data analysis, I looked at how successful I was at creating balance. You can see that there is the curse word imbalance. Don't appears prominently in both. Black is prominent in present B, which is reassuring as I wanted to prioritize sentences written by and about Black people. Bigrams are a key piece of vectorizing the text for this model. Tuning the hyperparameters of the vectorizer made the biggest difference in optimizing the model performance. I also prioritize they be across the corpus as it does not necessarily run the risk of gender bias like she be or he be. You can see from these speech bubbles how they be playing games differs from should they be playing games. When it came to model iterations, I started with a logistic regression baseline model and I also tried random forest. The multinomial naive Bayes beat every iteration of both. Accuracy, recall, precision, and F1 scores are all fairly high. The model appears to be fitting the training data well without overfitting, as evidenced by the test set results. The test set results are slightly lower than the training set, but still quite strong, showing that the model generalizes well on unseen data. In conclusion, I am pleased with my model's accuracy and I still have a lot of work I want to do. I plan to expand the corpus in collaboration with stakeholders to expand the speaker representation, build additional model iterations, as well as train models on more features. And that brings us to the end. Thank you so much. You can drop your questions in Q&A or reach out to me on GitHub or LinkedIn. There are links to the studies and papers I referenced in the appendix of this presentation, which is available on GitHub if you would like to dive deeper.
Wow. That was so cool. Morgan, thank you for that presentation. The inspiration for your project was super awesome. I hope that you are able to find collaborators to continue growing next. I think that's just so freaking cool. As the resident data scientist in the room, would you mind maybe just sharing with folks what would be like one or two pieces of advice for someone considering pursuing a career in data science, knowing what you know now?
That's such a huge question. I think thinking a lot about what projects you want to do or kinds of things you're interested in, what problems you want to solve, let guide you in terms of what languages are most pressing or what jobs that you might want to do, because there's just so much that you can do with data science. And there are languages like SAS that are common in healthcare. If you want to move into healthcare, for a lot of marketing jobs, it's going to be SQL. So yeah, it's a lot to take in. What was it? Oh, my data science experience prior to attending the program. Well, I worked closely, kind of similar to Travis, I worked closely with data science people before, and I would I had like rudimentary SQL skills, but I had all these ideas I couldn't actually make be a thing. I'd always have to have a data scientist build it for me. And I just wanted to be able to make my own ideas. And so I didn't have too much experience hands-on. I just had a whole bunch of thoughts in my head. And similar to Travis again, the pre-work was really helpful. It was kind of scary being alone and doing the pre-work. And I was very intimidated. And then when I started the class, my instructor Jelly was so amazing, and she just made the lessons come to life, and all my concerns were wiped away.
Amazing. Nice job, Morgan. Way to go. All right, folks, we've got just one more project to check out this evening. Thanks for sticking with us up to this point, and we're going to wrap things up with Oliver Chase, software engineer, who will be sharing deep reads. Oliver, take it away.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Oliver Chase. I'm a software engineer based in Seattle, Washington. I completed Flatiron's full stack program in June, and I'm going to share with you my capstone project. So, Deep Reads is an algorithmic audiobook recommendation platform. I love audiobooks, but I find the process of finding new audiobooks to be very frustrating, very inefficient. This is mostly because of Audible.com, which dominates the publishing and distribution of audiobooks. You probably know that Audible is an Amazon company, and the recommendation they use for the recommendation algorithm, which Audible uses for its audiobooks, is essentially the same as Amazon's product recommendation algorithm. It looks at what you've shown an interest in the past, what you've purchased in the past, and recommends things, the top selling products from the categories, from the same genre categories that you have previously shown an interest in. Then because of this, after you've purchased a few things from the platform, it will sort of pigeonhole you into a particular category of buyer. From that point of view, it will constantly present you with the top selling books from each category that you've shown an interest in. And finding anything else on the platform gets to be really difficult. You'll find every time that you log on, you're just shown the same 50 or so titles. And every time you purchase one, it's removed from the list. So what inevitably happens is you end up with a huge collection of books that you have no interest in, constantly being shown to you over and over again. It's essentially taking a profit-motivated approach, which I don't think is appropriate. I think choosing a book is not like choosing a TV or a coffee maker. I think how we choose books is deeper than that. I think how we choose books has a lot to do with the kind of people that we are and how we see the world. And I wanted to find a new way to think about stories and how we relate to them. So a few important things I wanted to do with this project. I wanted to only recommend a book to you once and have you make a final decision about it. And I wanted to take each of those decisions and feed them back into a learning recommendation algorithm, a sort of basic form of machine learning that would gradually learn your preferences and make more effective recommendations to you. So you're always being shown new titles, and every title that you see is a more accurate fit to you because each decision that you make is influencing each recommendation that's brought up. I also wanted all of the data that's generated by this process, this learning algorithm, to be viewable and editable by the user. So if you're getting recommendations which aren't working for you and you don't understand why, you can go into your data and say, oh, well, you know, this is in here, what's that doing in here? You can move things around and change the data which is influencing the algorithm to change the behavior of the platform. So to collect the data set for this project, I developed a progressive web scraping algorithm, which I targeted at audible.com. The algorithm, essentially how it works is you give it, to start with, the URL of a book. It takes all the information from that page. It takes the summary of the book, the cover image, the audio sample, And it then goes to the reviews of that book, and it looks at all the different people, all the accounts of the people who've left reviews for that book. It looks at how they reviewed it. It then goes to their accounts, goes through every other book that they reviewed, collects those books, and collects their reviews for those books. And then it does that again and again and again. And so progressively from a single URL, it spreads out through the platform, gathering eventually all of the books on the platform, but also keeping track of how they relate to one another and how users relate to them, most importantly. Let's see. So I have a sort of simple diagram of this here demonstrating. So you've got each one of these arrows represents a review. The strength of the connection would be whether it was it can have a positive strength or a negative strength, depending whether it was a positive or a negative review, and that strength is proportional to the strength of the review, which is to do with keyword scraping and just like the number of stars. For it's like five categories, 0 out of 5 that you leave when you rate a book on Audible, and all of that's taken into account. So let's go through the project real quick. So this is the platform itself. We'll just log in. So on the main page here, this is your main interface with the platform. Each recommendation is presented to you in one of these cards. You can rate authors, narrators, and genre tags from this page. You also have a synopsis and audio sample.
Graph.
So I can click on this. Blue is neutral, not rated, and then you have red for dislike, green for like, and purple, pink for favorite. You can do the same thing for genre tags for authors. You can dislike, skip. The view on Audible just gives you just takes you directly to the Audible page for that book. Yeah, like and favorites. So let's say I add this to my favorites. That gets added into the algorithm and it presents me with another book. To view my data, I can go in my favorites page here and I can see books that I previously added. I can also move these to other pages if I change my mind about them, move to dislike, move to like. Slightly different system for authors, narrators, and genres. Here you have a sort of drag and drop system based on React Beautiful D&D, so I can change my preferences about authors by moving them around. I can go through a list of authors. I can search for particular authors, you know, and that's basically the system as it is right now. And then you have like an account page which you can edit your information on and all that kind of basic stuff. Let's see. So what's next for this? I'm working on Audible account integration. So right now, creating a user account, you're starting from scratch, like a totally blank slate. So you have to do quite a bit of rating before it learns your preferences. 10 or 15 books is generally enough for it to start to get pretty sharp, but the more the better, obviously. But I would like it so that if you already have an Audible account, you can log into the platform through Audible and it'll go and it'll gather all of your data. So I'm working on that. I'd like to add a social side to the platform, which would be you know, add friends and, you know, send and receive recommendations, maybe sort of book clubs, join particular groups of people who are interested in particular kinds of stories. And all of that would provide more data to be fed back into the algorithm to improve future recommendations. And also working on further refinements just to reduce the time and space complexity of the algorithm, because once I start to scale this a bit more, it's going to be quite demanding in terms of runtime running this algorithm for every recommendation. So I'm trying to improve that. Along those lines, I will be deploying this at some time in the next month or so. So if this sounds like something you might use, do throw your email into the chat and I'll get in touch if you might end up being part of my alpha group. I need testers. So yeah, that would be great. So if anyone has any questions, I am here to answer them.
Nice work, Oliver. Can totally just tell how much your passion for this stuff just shines through. So amazing job, great presentation. If you were to scrap it all tomorrow and start again, what's one thing that you would do differently?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
You could say nothing. You could say nothing.
I don't know. I've been working on it. It's gone through a lot of different iterations. I kind of have scrapped it and started again a few times. Getting the recommendation algorithm to the point where it would actually make effective recommendations and learn, most importantly, as you give it more information to work with, took a fair amount of work. It's based on the version 1 Google algorithm. So it's about how an object is referenced by other objects as opposed to the content of the object itself, which seems to work pretty well so far. But no, I want to get it deployed and I want to get people using it so that I have other people coming back with different perspectives on it and saying, we want this, we don't like that, and so on. So I'm working on getting it deployed and trying to find a group of 50 to 100 people who want to test it, people who use it.
Cool. Looks like we do have one email in the chat if you want to go ahead and grab that. And also we got to wrap up, but real quick, Kate's wondering, what technologies did you use on the back end to apply your algorithm?
That's all Python.
All Python. Cool. Great. Yes, a recording of this will be available. You can expect that in your inbox early next week. So thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I really do hope that y'all had as much fun as I did watching those projects. Let's give it up one more time for our grads, for our presenters, all the hard work that they did. Starting projects, scrapping projects, rebuilding them, drinking probably so much coffee. I'm going to give folks a moment. I dropped a handful of links in the chat. I shared a link to our upcoming events page. If you want to come to another event with us, we would love to see you. We have our YouTube page in there if you want to subscribe, and you can watch previous recordings from previous workshops, presentations, etc. And last but not least, I did share a link to schedule a call with our admissions team. If you're curious, if you're still curious about joining Flatiron School and joining our community, definitely book a call with admissions. They'll take care of you and they'll make sure that you have all of the information that you need to make the decision to take that leap. So thank you again, everyone. Take it easy, and hope to see you at another event soon. Good night, y'all.